Hello and welcome to the Purpose Matrix. My name is Phil Moeller and I'm excited today to talk to you about a process that really transformed my business and my life. And I spent a lot of time when I was in the corporate world studying this process and then learned how to apply that to my business and to my personal life as well. You know, a lot of businesses live in a cycle of reaction, chasing problems, constantly busy, maybe working from our inbox, just doing, but really not stepping back and aligning our vision and our values with our strategy with our execution. And a lot of people do the same thing in life. We might have a vision. Maybe we have our core values established. We talked about that in past episodes. You know, maybe we have our purpose or some direction that we want to go, but we don't have the process in place to execute upon that. And that's what we're going to talk more about today. What we need to do is we need to align our vision, our purpose, our values, the culture we want with execution. We need to put those all together in business and in life. You know, I like the book. I'll reference some different books today, but the E-Myth Revisited really talks about working on your business, not in your business. And so often we're constantly working in our business, or we're just in our lives, but we're not really thinking or planning our lives, or we're not really thinking about and planning our business. So we need to work on our business to deliver the vision, the purpose, the values, the culture that we want. The other quote I like is just, people don't fail for lack of vision. A lot of times they fail from lack of execution. And this is where strategy deployment comes in. Strategy deployment is what I'm going to talk about today. I've studied it a lot in my corporate career. I was responsible for kind of strategy deployment within our department, but also within the broader organization, and figuring out how to build a strategy for the year or for the quarter, and how to get everyone aligned around that strategy, all the different departments aligned around that strategy, so we could execute upon that and deliver the plan that we talked about, whether that be for the quarter or for the year. I've studied books like Traction, The 4 Disciplines of Execution. They're both on my shelf. You can see that if you're watching on YouTube. You know, the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller. I referenced the E-Myth Revisited already. Measure What Matters, Atomic Habits, which takes some of these principles but applies it to our personal life. And just, I've tried to put together a framework basically that takes lessons from those different studies. And then also, you know, I did this. I was in action on this, and I learned from great people, from mentors, from peers, from others that did this. And we did this together, and we built strategy deployment across a large organization. And now I'm doing that in my business today, and again in my life, in my personal life. So, and really, strategy deployment is what led to the Purpose Matrix. The Purpose Matrix is really a framework to turn your purpose and what you want in the most important areas of life into execution, and deploying that across all of your areas of life while living in alignment. That's what the Purpose Matrix is about. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about business and personal and how we do this. So hopefully it can help you in different ways. I'm going to go through 6 steps that I've outlined on the why, what, and how of strategy deployment. And I'm going to talk through how we do that in business, and then I'm going to reference how we can do that in our lives as well. And really just how do we use that to transform all these ideas, all the vision, all these, you know, maybe scattered ideas or hopes and dreams, about how do we take those things for our business and personal life and convert it into execution and get things done. So I'm excited to roll that out to you here today and talk through those 6 steps for strategy deployment. So the first step for strategy deployment is for us to clarify our vision and our purpose. And you've heard us talk about that, but it's so important, especially in the business world. We need to get clear on what our mission statement is and what our vision is. You know, I recently hosted a business leaders lunch. We had 25 or so local business leaders and business owners talk about, you know, what are the different elements of their vision. And if I have to be completely honest, it's a hard thing to spend time on, and people weren't crystal clear on what that was. Sometimes there were, you know, maybe dollar targets or growth metrics that were part of the vision. You know, definitely employees were a huge part of the vision, but it wasn't really clear to the business owners what was their vision, whether that 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year, even longer term. It wasn't clear to them, but it's so important. The reason it's not clear the reason people haven't written it down or been clear on it, it's not an easy task. It really takes some time. It really takes some effort, but employees are craving this. They want to know the direction the company's going, why the company wants to grow, why the company is doing what it's doing. And I think we have to get beyond just numbers for this. So I think it's really important. I just really encourage you, if you're a business leader, a department leader, a manager, what is the vision for your business? And don't be afraid to get input from your employees or team members, peers, whoever that might be, fellow business owners, about what your vision is. I'll share a little bit about our mission and our vision here at Moeller Real Estate, our real estate business. So our mission is, we are a real estate company, but our real mission is to leverage real estate and the platform it gives us to do good in many ways. And that's kind of open-ended, but we just want to have a positive impact. If that's on our residents, if that's on the contractors we work with, if that's on our employees, which is very important, if that's on our investors, whatever it is, we're going to leverage the platform we have to do good in many ways. And if whether you're whatever type of company you are, your product does not have to be the vision, but leverage the product and the platform you have to have an impact in some way, shape, or form on different people, because that's really what this is all about. So that's what our mission is. And then I really have for our business, and we talk about this a lot with our team members, 3 elements of our vision. I actually have a 4-page vivid vision written out for our business, but there's really 3 core elements for Moeller Real Estate. One is I want to have a great team and a great culture that wins together and has fun doing it. So that's the first element. The second element is I want to use our platform, as I said, to do good in many ways, to inspire and educate others to live their God-given purpose and just have a positive impact on people. And the third thing is I want to we as a business want to be successful, and we want to donate money. And we use our donation target as the driver for our whole financial process and what we do. And we talk about that just as a team here internally, and that's where the money comes in, and it drives our financial metrics for our business. So those are the 3 elements of our business here at Moeller Real Estate, and it's really, really important. And I think it's a gap in a lot of businesses. So I just really encourage you to spend time and put that together, because for strategy deployment, we need to communicate the vision to the organization, because we're going to engage them on how to live out that vision. I'll talk about that here in a little bit, but we need to cast the vision as leaders. And then from a personal perspective, I'm not going to talk about that as much today, but just encourage you to really think about your vision, your purpose for different areas of life. We're going to talk about that more in future episodes and future discussions, but that's also important there, and I'll come back to that here in a little bit as well. So number 1 was vision and purpose. Number 2 is getting input from the experts and gaining buy-in from your team. And, from a business perspective, leverage the department leaders that really know what they're doing. So leverage the operations leader, or leverage the sales leader, or leverage the finance leader, or the team members, right? For us, we want to leverage our operations manager, or our leasing agent, or our marketing person, or our maintenance, our field techs. We want to get the expertise from them and the input from them on how can we live out the vision, and what should we be doing? What should our goals be in the short term? We need their inputs and their expertise just to build the right metrics. Not only because we want their expertise, though, we want their buy-in. And from a business perspective, having a strategy deployment process is really, really important, because we need to engage with our employees, and we need them to be bought into the process. So every quarter in our business, we go through, at the end of the quarter, we talk through how did we do the prior quarter, what were our wins, what were the challenges we ran into as a business, and what are the major initiatives we're going to focus on for the next quarter. And we get the team involved in that. So it's not me just casting out, hey, here's your goals for the quarter, go do this, go do that. If I do that, they're not going to be bought into the process. So we need to get the team involved in the process and putting the quarterly plan together with team members' involvement, because they're going to be much more bought in if they do that. Similarly, from a personal perspective, we need to bring in the personal team. So whoever that is, we need to engage, if we have quarterly rocks, with our spouse. So for example, like one of my rocks is our quarterly goals often is I want to do a one-on-one day with each of my kids. Well, if I just do that, but don't have any discussions with my spouse, maybe we don't get that scheduled correctly or whatever. So I want to have my spouse be supportive of our goals, and I want to get their input. Hey, what could we maybe do together with the kids? So get the different people involved in that process, mentors, get the kids involved. It's a fun activity to do with them. Maybe it's a church group. Maybe you have an accountability group, which I'll talk about more, that you can get input or solicit feedback from for your goals. So the second one is get input from experts and gain the buy-in from others, and especially if you're running a business, get the input from the different functional leaders and by doing that, you will get their buy-in to ultimately execute the plan. And this, if you go to the purpose matrix, I talked about number one being purpose and vision. And then number two really aligns with education and association. So if the acronym is purpose, education, association, courage, and example, we've talked about the first three of those already here. So one was clarify purpose and vision. Two, get the input from the experts and gain buy-in from the team. Number three, get alignment across the functional areas or areas of life personally. So for example, if you have a big sales goal that is a big part of your quarterly goal, you need to get buy-in from operations. Can they deliver upon that? Or if you're, investing in capital or operational capacity, you need to make sure that the sales team can go get those sales. The finance team is going to be part of that. So getting alignment across the different departments, getting them involved and hearing each other's goals or plans for the quarter is really, really important because they're going to impact each other. So just many initiatives aren't a functional siloed initiative. They take multiple groups to support that. And the different departments need to talk to each other. So get the different departments talking to each other about what our goals are for the quarter. And depending on how big your business is, if you have, 3, 4, 5 employees like we do, that's easier to do. If you have larger organizations, maybe you get the leaders of the different departments together to talk through these things. And then again, similarly in life, this is about aligning the different areas of life. So if you think through, okay, let's say your priorities are faith, family, finance, fitness, or whatever it is, whatever your order is. Well, does your fitness goal align with your relationship goal? Or is it going to get in the way of it? How do we make them align with each other? Does your purpose for your health support your relationships? An example I use is one of my goals on a regular basis, and now we just have made it a habit. So I don't even make it a goal anymore because it's just kind of a habit, but is to, just take walks with my wife, Marcia, a couple of days a week. And now we get up early and we do that a few different days a week. It gives us a chance to get some exercise, to build on our relationship, to get some sunshine, talk about the kids, what we have going on that day, whatever it might be. So we kind of hit on a couple of different areas of life. So that initiative there supports multiple different areas of life. So similar business and personal, align the groups or align the areas of life to support each other and not work against each other is what we're trying to avoid. We don't want these different things to be functioning in silos, which can happen so often. So that was number 3, is align different areas of life or different departments. Number 4, figure out what the big initiatives are, the big rocks, the big needle movers, and have the courage to pursue and do those things. This is where I'll reference some different books and teachings that I've learned from a business perspective. So the book Traction, which you see on my shelf here, that has quarterly rocks. So, again, at the end of the quarter, that's the model we use in business. We go through our wins and challenges from the prior quarter. What do we need to focus on in business for the next quarter? And then we'll talk about a way to track that later, but we do that every single quarter. Maybe it's that if you've heard the 80-20 rule, focus on the big needle movers. A different, one of the other books I read, it talks about avoiding the whirlwind. I think it's 4 disciplines of execution, but the whirlwind is everything that's happening, your emails, phone calls, just the day-to-day tactics that are coming at you. Whereas we need to focus on the big initiatives. And if I explain the rocks a little bit more, actually, maybe I should do that. Just imagine there's a story. If you have a big jar and you're trying to fill it up and you have stones, you have sand, stones, and big rocks. Well, if you put the sand in first and do that first, the smallest things, and then the stones, and then the rocks, you're not going to get everything into the jar. But if you put the big rocks in first and get those done, then you put the stones in, and then the sand, it'll all fit. Everything will fall into the cracks. Everything will kind of still come together. But the big thing is you got the big rocks, the big initiatives done. Whereas if you do the small things first, you don't get the big initiatives done. So that's where the phrase big rocks come from. And I just encourage you to really get clear on what those are for your business. 3 to 5 as a business, 3 to 4 items per team member or leader per quarter, and don't make too many of them. By the way, as you're doing this, from a business perspective, you can also bring in and ask employees to talk about a couple of their personal rocks. You don't push too hard with this, but just ask for their input, and it creates a great culture and bond for your organization where you start to talk about, hey, my goal last week was to work out 4 times and I worked out 3. Maybe there's hacks that different team members learn from each other in different areas of life. And it has been really neat for us to see how that process has evolved and everyone's grown in different areas of life kind of together from it. So that's been really encouraging. And from a personal perspective, then, what are the big goals? What are the habits that are really going to move the needle that you need to focus on? And what is the courage you have to take those big steps? If you're struggling in a relationship and you need to focus on a date night, or maybe that's just a one-on-one time with your kids because you're not connecting with your teenager, whatever it might be, what is the single biggest thing you can do in that area of life, and really focus on that. And I'd encourage you to pick one thing per area of life that you focus on that you think can move the needle with whatever you might be challenged with right now, or with just an opportunity for growth. So number 4, again, was what are the big rocks, the big needle moving items, and have the courage to pursue those things. So number 5 of the 6-step strategy deployment process for business and life is to set goals, to set SMART goals, and base them on lead metrics, not lagging metrics. And I'm pulling in a couple of different phrases, but first, SMART goals. It's the acronym SMART goals. If you haven't heard this before, stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So SMART goals. For our business, for example, we have quarterly rocks, and we're trying every quarter. At the end of the quarter, the first couple of quarters, we're like, did we really succeed at those or not? It's hard to tell. But our goals and how we write our goals are getting better and better every single quarter, where, we are tracking a metric every single week, and we can see how we're doing relative to the quarterly goal. And at the end of the quarter, we're red, yellow, green. It's easier to understand. So just SMART goals. And then lead measures versus lag measures means, focus on lead measures. So like acquisitions, a lag measure would be, I want to buy a $1 million property this quarter. Well, a leading measure would be, I want to connect with 10 different brokers or real estate owners every single week. And I want to make sure those are done the right way. So not just text or email, but phone calls or in-person coffee or lunch meetings. And those are worth more points. And I have a point system for those. So those are the lead measures I can control. And then how many deals do I underwrite? How many LOIs do I write? There's this whole funnel. And I want to focus as much in the front of the funnel and the lead metrics that will ultimately lead to, I can get $1 million in acquisitions, or whatever the business or the financial target is for the quarter. So if you just focus on, hey, we want so many sales this quarter, it's going to be hard to know whether you can hit that or not, unless it's just sales calls, connections, meetings, quotes. Those are the things as a business you need to focus your goals around, or the lead measures, not the lagging measures. And then once you set the clear goals as a business, really putting in a system that holds the team accountable. And I'll talk about that next. But getting the goals right will be important if you want to have that system in place. From a personal perspective, it's the same. Set clear goals, set measurable goals. So for example, one of my goals this quarter is I want to have so many steps every single day, or so many steps 5 of 7 days a week, to give myself a little bit of buffer. But I want to just be more active throughout the day. So I want to get 8,000 steps at least 5 days a week, and I can very easily measure that. And right now it's going well. But let's see how it goes the rest of the quarter. But I'm measuring that every single week, and I give myself a green, yellow, red, and I have a process to do that. So just be very specific on what your goals are and what those on those needle moving initiatives. And then the last step 6. So step 5 was set lead metrics and SMART goals. Step 6, once you've set goals for the quarter, have a scorecard with a weekly accountability process in place. So if you go back to the book Traction, which I've referenced a little bit, we have level 10 meetings, which is a Monday morning meeting. The goal is if we rate the meeting when we're done, it's a 10 out of 10, because as business owners, I know a lot of meetings can drag on or not be very structured or not make decisions. So we're rating our meeting every single week. And if we rated a 6, we're saying this is why it was a 6, because someone showed up late, or we didn't get started on time, or whatever it might be, or we got way off topic, or we didn't make any decisions. And a level 10 is, man, that was crisp. That was great. We made the decisions. Everyone was prepared. So that was a 10 out of 10 as far as how the meeting went. But we do that every single week as a business, and we go through everybody's rocks. The main part of it is we have a scorecard. So we have just metrics for the business. They're the same metrics every single week throughout the year. So this might be for real estate. What's our occupancy? What's our collections or delinquency? What's our total average effective rent that we have? How many work orders did we get done? How many work orders have been open for longer than 7 days that we need to close out? And we're looking at it every week, and we're just watching for trends that are positive or negative, and very quickly looking at it, highlighting, if anything's yellow or red, managed by exception, and how can we address that. And then from a personal perspective, I'd just encourage you to have a habit tracker or some system. Really building a system or a process that holds you accountable, I think, is important. Atomic Habits has a quote that says, "You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." And I love that quote, and it's been really impactful for me in my personal business and personal life, where I try to put systems and habits in place that then will just be reoccurring, and then I can habit stack or add habits to that. So I talked about taking walks with my wife, Marcia. That's just a habit now. That's not a goal every quarter. It's just a habit that happens. So now I can maybe add another positive habit that can, move me in the right direction and growth. And that's where having these rocks quarterly, it's like, oh, only one thing per area of life in a quarter. Maybe that doesn't sound so impactful, but if you do this and you habit stack over the course of 2 years or 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, all of a sudden 20 years, if you implement one new habit a quarter, that's 80 different habits. That's going to be a profound impact on your personal life. So, and then the other part of personal, and I can't emphasize this enough, it's been super impactful for me, is to have an accountability group of some sort, where maybe you share your habit tracker, or maybe you share your quarterly rocks that you want to get done this quarter with other other people, and they're sharing theirs. By the way, you're seeing what others are doing and you're learning from them. Hey, this is how this person is, making his health better. Or this is how this person is making their relationship better with their spouse, or building a stronger faith. And you start to steal ideas, not only steal ideas, but also you're holding each other accountable. So if I say, I'm going to get so many steps this quarter, I'm presenting that every single week, green, yellow, red, and people are going to say, hey, you said you're doing this, but you're not. And the other part of this for both accountability group and businesses, so many business leaders struggle with how to have the difficult conversations, how to hold team members accountable. And that happens in your personal life as well. And that's where we really want to build a system of accountability. So the system and the process is holding the organization and your team members accountable, not you all the time. Yes, you ultimately have to have the difficult conversations, but you need to have a system of accountability. So if someone's not meeting a goal or meeting a target or doing what they're supposed to be doing, we pull up the scorecard, it shows poor metrics, and they have to talk through that. So the system holds them accountable, and then, it becomes more natural versus trying to, wonder what the metrics are. And then, hey, how do I create or how do I have a meeting and have the difficult conversation? So again, build it. Number 6, set goals quarterly, but have a weekly scorecard and a system of accountability to meet your goals and meet what you need to execute upon. And hopefully you can see how the process of strategy deployment kind of goes from long-term vision to quarterly goals to weekly goals into accountability, right? So it's really, really important. And then you can see how it gets the team members and different people involved in the process, which will maximize your opportunity for success. So those are the 6 steps I talked about. Just to recap, number 1, clarify your purpose and vision for your business or your personal life. Number 2, get input from the experts, educate yourself, and gain buy-in from the team. Number 3, get alignment across the different departments or the different areas of life. Number 4, focus on the needle movers, the 80-20 rule, or the big rocks. Number 4, set smart goals and focus on lead metrics, not lagging metrics. And number 6, while we set the goals quarterly, have a weekly system of accountability with the right, processes and people in place to ultimately hold you accountable and hold your organization accountable. So those are the 6 steps. And again, it's really how do we transform from strategy to execution, so we're just not reacting, we're just not doing all the time, but so we really have the structure that just empowers and engages our organization to get things done. And in business, again, I love it, but I'll say it again: work on your business, not just in your business. In life, don't leave your purpose to chance. Work on your life, I can say, or just, as I said, people don't fail for lack of vision. They fail from lack of execution. And I'll, just reiterate or support the purpose matrix is designed where it's really a strategy deployment tool where you can take the different areas of life across the top, and then the 5 principles of success: purpose, education, association, courage, and example, across the rows. And you can fill out this matrix and really have a deployment process, and then circle within that the really big areas of focus for the quarter and build a system of accountability for that. And just the call to action to you is apply the 6-step framework. Put it in action, put it in place in your business and your personal life. There are all kinds of resources on this. I mentioned a couple of the books: Traction, 4 Disciplines of Execution. Personally, Atomic Habits is a great one. Check those out. Apply these things, again, in your business and your life. And then, if you think of somebody, maybe this was helpful, share this with your team, share this with other business owners that this could help, share this with people that are maybe living a chaotic life and they need to streamline things or focus on things a little bit more. I appreciate you listening. And if you want more support, we're working on building out this strategy deployment scorecard and tool, the purpose matrix. So feel free to reach out to us as well for that. info@moellerre.com. Thanks so much for joining the Purpose Matrix. For Phil Moeller, signing off.